Okay. And again, welcome today. I'm Karen Weibel with the Ohio Apex Accelerator. For those of you who do not know what the Ohio Apex Accelerator is, we used to be known as PTAP, but we are funded by the Department of Defense's Small Business Office, the state of Ohio, and Ohio University to assist small businesses in their efforts in government contracting at all levels of government, federal, state, and local. We do that through helping you with registrations, understanding certifications at all levels, finding opportunities to bid on with a free daily bid matching service, all sorts of things. All of our services are free of charge to our Ohio business community. And you just have to, if you have any questions or want more information, again, put it into the chat and we'll make sure we get back to you on that. But I'm not going to take up any more of our time because we have a very special guest today. We have with us Ms. Gaina Malcolm-Packnett. She is the assistant to the director of the Mentor-Protege Program and is the Mentor-Protege Program manager for the Army's Small Business Office. She's also the small business liaison for the STTR program. Also the HBCU program manager. She brings extensive experience in the field and is going to share with us her phenomenal knowledge on the DoD and Army's Mentor-Protege program. Take it away, Ms. Malcolm-Packnett. We're continuing to have some technical difficulties. While I'm trying to work on it with Gaina, why don't we go ahead and have OAI, if you want to go ahead and present your slides and talk about what you do. And I'm going to try to get Gaina logged in here.
Sure. Let me, I will do that. And let me share my screen here. All right, is that working? Do you see my slideshow here?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
Okay, great. Hello, I'm Dan Gisser, and I work with Ohio Aerospace Institute and Parallax Advanced Research. And I believe one of my colleagues, Anthony Gillespie, is also online. I thought I saw him in the attendee list. Like Karen, I just wanted to start off with a little bit of news about the organization. So I know several of you on the call, and you probably know me from Ohio Aerospace Institute. We entered into an affiliation agreement. Effectively, we merged with another small nonprofit research institution, Parallax Advanced Research, in January. We are continuing, and both organizations bring this capability to provide support to people like you, to entrepreneurs, especially entrepreneurs in technology-based companies and in universities across Ohio and to a large degree beyond, around the country as well, in certain cases. We work as part of the entrepreneurial support ecosystem in Ohio, and we bring a really key piece of that, in particular, is helping entrepreneurs learn about and navigate their way through the federal government Small Business Innovation Research grant program. These are research grants, SBIR grants, that many of you know about. The Army has a program. It's part of the larger Department of Defense's SBIR research program that supports small businesses, and we work with them. And we also work with all the other agencies, so the Air Force and the Navy and the rest of the DoD, but the Department of Energy and NASA, National Science Foundation, National Institutes of Health, and there's several others as well. I put here on the slide both the websites for Parallax and OAI, and I'll put in the chat later on my contact information. I mentioned that we help companies learning about and managing their way through the SBIR program and other grant programs. We do that, as I mentioned, with all the federal agencies that have SBIR and STTR programs across all industries, and we're really technology agnostic. Just this week, I'm kind of running the gamut between cybersecurity and cancer therapeutics and aerospace related technologies and probably many others. And our role really is to help you on that process. And I can get far enough, and Anthony can get far enough in technology, but the technology is your expertise, and our expertise is the process. We are especially interested in helping underrepresented entrepreneurs, minorities and women, etc. Our services are generally free, paid for. You already paid with your tax dollars to the state of Ohio and your income taxes through the Small Business Administration. So they're generally already prepaid by you. We're going to hear about the Army's Mentor-Protege Program, and I just mentioned a little bit about the SBIR STTR grant programs, which often lead into something like the Mentor-Protege Program. But I wanted to open your minds up as well to other ways that you might collaborate with the federal government, particularly the federal labs. There's many. There's the Army Research Lab and the various other Department of Defense labs. The Department of Energy has many labs like Argonne in Chicago. And there's many ways that you can collaborate with them through grants, like I mentioned, through just technology collaborations where you're doing joint development with them. In many cases, our labs and our researchers there have developed technology for the government use, but those technologies might also be licensable by you to take into the commercial sector or even the government sector. Some of the labs have unique and special equipment or facilities that you can rent or borrow or get access to if that's something that you need. And then there's a wealth of talent and sometimes just having conversations with some of the researchers or being able to do internships with them or such things can be very helpful. And finally, there's procurement. The government and particularly the labs are always buying things, and you may be selling things that they want. And Karen at the Apex Accelerator especially can help you out with that, but we can help point you a little bit in that way, in that direction as well. And we work all the time with Karen and the rest of the Apex accelerators around Ohio. And the last slide is just our contact information. I'll put mine right into the chat as well. And this will be in the recording as well. And with that, I'm going to return it back to Karen. Stop sharing. How do I do that? There.
All right, thanks, Dan. I think we're going to try getting Gaina on board again here. Gaina, can you try to take yourself on mute and see if you're able to speak with us? We cannot. Yeah, Shonda, if you want to go ahead and I'd like to introduce Shonda Harris from the SBA Columbus District Office, and she's going to speak a little bit about what they're doing at the SBA while we continue to work on the technical difficulties with Ms. Malcolm Packnett. Thank you.
Okay, I can go. Hang on here. Good morning, everyone. Let me share my slides here. And let me pull them into full screen. Okay, can everybody see my slides here?
Yes.
Okay, great. Good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Shonda Harris. I'm a business opportunity specialist with the Columbus Small Business Administration, the SBA. And I'm just going to give a few slides about our Mentor-Protege Program, just a brief overview. Just, of course, if anybody needs more information about who we are and what we do, the SBA is the organization that works with small businesses at any capacity to help you start, grow, expand, or recover your business. In Ohio, there are 2 SBA district offices. Columbus District Office, which I'm a part of, we cover the majority of Ohio's counties, 60 counties, central and southern Ohio, and then the Cleveland office, covers the remaining 28 counties in Northeast Ohio. So if you're looking as a small business, if you need assistance in any kind of area, we provide assistance in counseling, access to capital, federal government contracting, and crisis support. So with contracting as a small business, if you're looking to do business with the federal government, sometimes gaining entrance into the federal market can be a little daunting and be challenging. And if you don't have maybe past performance, then getting into the Mentor-Protege program is a great way for you to do that. And kind of the overall objective of the Mentor-Protege program is to help small businesses, which we will consider as proteges, to gain capacity and win contracts through their partnership or their interaction with other companies that we call as mentors. So some of the program benefits, as a protege, you're able to get business development assistance. That's the primary purpose of the Mentor-Protege program, is to provide business development assistance from the mentors to the protege, and in about 6 key areas. So if you need assistance with your business management systems, accounting, marketing, planning, your mentors can provide guidance in these areas. Also, if you may need a financial assistance, and sometimes that may be equity investment, where a mentor actually may provide money to you as a small business. Sometimes in getting contracts, you may need that in forms of a loan, or if you're a construction or construction-related company, you may need bonding assistance, so that mentor can also help with that. If you need assistance as it relates to bidding, at the actual acquisition process, putting together your bids, knowing how to bid, the bidding process, the mentors can assist with that. If you need assistance, and sometimes we don't think about this, but international trade, mentors can assist with that. Sometimes if companies are doing importing and exporting. Also, business development and identifying specific contract opportunities. Mentors can assist with that, where to look, where to find those specific contract opportunities, especially with maybe specific agencies. And then general overall administrative assistance, like helping with your books, your HR needs, and even in some instances, especially with some of the larger federal contracts, companies may require security clearance. I believe I was talking to Sharon on the phone yesterday, and a gentleman was looking at a contract and a security clearance was required. And so if your mentor does have security clearance, they can sponsor their proteges in order to get a security clearance. All right, so also if you're looking to enter into a mentor-protege relationship, it does allow that mentor-protege relationship is for business development purposes, but eventually if you're looking to pursue a contract with your mentor, then you would have to form a joint venture. And so those joint ventures will actually allow, when you form that, it's actually a new entity, but the joint venture allows the mentor-protege, that relationship, to form a new company and then actually compete for a government contract or a specific project that they're looking to go after that's reserved for small businesses. And mentors and proteges can joint venture as long as the protege does have to be small. If the mentor is large, then that mentor-protege relationship has to be formed and approved first before they can enter into a joint venture relationship. But that joint venture will allow that small business to go after any type of set aside, if it's 8A, HUBZone, woman-owned, or service disabled type of set aside contract. In fact, whatever certifications that the protege has during the formation of the joint venture, then the joint venture will take on the certifications of the protege. So if the protege was 8A and woman-owned, then the joint venture will be an 8A joint venture and woman-owned joint venture, and it can pursue those contracts. Some of the benefits of the joint venture, even though it's a new entity, both the mentor and protege form a new entity. That new entity has its own name, its own UEI, its own bank account. But the unique thing is the joint venture can take on the past performance of both the mentor and the protege. So if the protege doesn't have past performance, but the mentor does, the joint venture can take on the past performance of the mentor. And it allows both of them to share cost and resources and just leverage that past performance experience from that mentor. Program qualifications, I just have 2 more slides. So as a protege, in order to qualify, you do have to be small. And we look at your NAICS codes. And so looking at the SBA size standards tool, you do have to be small in your primary NAICS code. And then also you do have to be a for-profit entity. And then also you have to find your mentor. The SBA does not find mentors. We don't identify mentors for you. You do have to find that mentor and already have them in place before applying to the program. And in order to qualify as a mentor, you do have to be a for-profit business. You do not have to be small, but you do have to be able to provide the assistance, the business development assistance in one of those 6 or a couple of those areas that I mentioned. You do have to be able to assist the protege. You do have to have good character. You can't be debarred on the debarred or suspended list. And you do have to be able to add value to the mentor in whatever specific area that the protege is seeking assistance from. That is pretty much it. There's my contact information. I'll just add the SBA no longer approves joint ventures. And so if you're looking to form that with your mentor, the only ones that the SBA approves are the mentor-protege, the joint ventures. If an 8A company is seeking a sole source opportunity, then that's the only time that the SBA approves the joint venture relationships. That is primarily it for me. I'm gonna stop sharing.
You want to go ahead and try to put yourself off. Hi, everybody. We're going to try to get Gaina moving again here and see if we can get her sound to work. Gaina, are you able to say something?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Amazing.
All right, I'm hanging up.
Okay.
All right, Gaina, it's working.
Okay. Now let's see if we can share my screen. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. I apologize for the technical difficulties that I'm experiencing here, but we're going to get it right. Can you see my slides?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you to everybody for your patience, to the SBA. Thank you so much for your presentation. I was trying to get in, so I didn't hear much of it. But again, just want to introduce myself. My name is Gaina Malcolm Packnet, and I'm with the Army Office of Small Business Programs. Here's my contact information for you. This is my cell phone number. If you call me, I promise to call you back within 24 hours, okay? So let's get started. I want to talk to you a little bit about the Army Mentor-Protege Program. So our program was established in 1991. It is a congressionally mandated program, and I'm so excited that the National Defense Authorization of last year codified our program and made it a permanent program. So now we can get permanent funding from Congress. So we're really excited about that because it's been a pilot since 1991. Um, this was created by former Senator Sam Nunn and implemented by the Defense Secretary William Perry. So why did they do it? Because back then a lot of the Army was DoD was requiring subcontracting plans, and the large businesses were saying, well, I can't find any qualified subs. So you know what they said? Okay, we're going to give you incentives to help develop these small businesses. So that's the whole purpose of the program. If you go into DFARS Appendix I, it tells you A to Z, all the nuts and bolts about the program, eligibility, and all that good stuff, okay? So that's where you can go to find that. The program focuses on a technology transfer as well as developmental assistance. So what does that mean? So the technology transfer, which is the biggest piece, is, they look at, do you need human resource training, business development, capture management, proposal development, or any type of technology that you're trying to develop, that can also fall under your technology transfer. With developmental assistance, you're DCAA compliant, any ISO certifications that you may need, or any other certifications, for example, CMMC. Facility clearance, any other type of training that you may need. So what happens is the large business, and they don't necessarily have to be large, because in our program we have several companies that have gone through the program that have come back and said, I want to be a mentor. So if you don't meet the requirements that are in DFARS Appendix I, you can request a waiver with justification, and you can still be selected to be a mentor. So basically, the goal of the program is just to create a win-win for the protege by getting them what they need. The mentors, so that they have qualified and trusted small businesses, and for the Army to help us increase our small business industrial base. Joint ventures are not required. So we have 3 types of agreements, and the agreement is with the mentor. As I said before, the mentor comes in, takes a look at the protege, and they do an assessment. Let me back up. We are not allowed to pair mentors and proteges together. Our program is a 3-year program, but we are hoping that relationship that's formed will last much longer than the 3 years. So therefore, we are not allowed to pair you together, because we don't want situations where a protege come back and say, well, I don't really like them, and then the mentor say, well, they're not really qualified to help me out. So we let you guys work that out, and then you come in together. The mentor comes in, they do an assessment of their small business, find out what they need, what their needs are, and then those tasks are put together and into the white paper. So there are 3 types of agreements that the mentor can have. It can be either reimbursable, which the government would reimburse them for allowable cost. Again, it is up to 3 years, and your expenses can go up to $1 million a year. We don't see them that large on an annual basis, so the $1 million is sufficient, even in manufacturing, and those are the ones that are typically a little bit higher than our regular than the other ones. So they go up to $1 million a year, or the mentor can decide that they want to receive small business subcontracting credit for the agreement versus being reimbursed. Or our 3rd type of agreement, they can do a hybrid of both. So our process, how do you get started in this? Our process is a 2-step process. First, the mentor will submit a white paper. That white paper is then evaluated to determine, is this going to fill an Army gap? Basically, that's the criteria. Will this fill an Army gap? And I will talk about the Army gaps here in a second. If so, then you will receive a request for proposal, and then you submit your proposal. Our current solicitation is posted. I have it listed here for you, and it's posted on an annual basis. So you can go in at any time. Your mentor can go in at any time and apply. If anybody is interested in an agreement for this FY, that white paper would have to reach us by the end of this month. Okay. Everything is evaluated. If everything works out, you will enter into a 3-year agreement. Throughout the agreement, we do have several checks and balances. We have quarterly program management reviews where everybody's on the line: the contracting office, the mentor, the protege, their subcontractor. The Army requires 5% of the total contract value to be contracted out to either an HBCU, MSI, MEP, which is Manufacturing Extension Partnership, a Women's Development Center, or an Apex Accelerator. So 5% has to be subcontracted out to them for them to provide some type of assistance. The type of assistance that we've seen during these agreements, it range from training to HBCUs providing students to come in and develop websites and just whatever else is needed there. One of the success stories that we have, I'm jumping ahead a little bit, one of the success stories that we have is all of our HBCU students that end up on these contracts, the protege actually offer them jobs. So not only is it win-win for the mentor, the protege, the Army, it's also a win-win for the sub. There are DCMA semi-annual and annual reporting requirements, as well as monthly reports that are due with the billings. I do meet with the proteges on the side to just make sure that everything is going as planned. There are no hiccups. If there's any issues, we can talk about them and get them resolved so that we can move forward, but hopefully there are none. And we just basically go through the program, and then it's closed out at the end of 3 years. Post-award, the mentor is required for 5 years after that contract ends, after that agreement ends, to keep track of that mentor to see how well they're doing. So that's pretty much our process. Some of the focus areas of the Army. These are our current focus areas. So if you are in any of these areas, these are very hot topics for us. We are encouraging you, if you are in these areas. If you aren't in these areas, do it mean that you can't get an agreement? Absolutely not. But these are our major focus areas here. I also have some future focus areas listed for you. As you know, our Army Futures Command, they are working with the Army in 2030 and beyond. So we do have some future focus areas. So if you have some type of technology out there that you think the Army would be interested in, let's talk about it. I do have some more future focus areas. There you go. Energy is a huge, huge thing. So if you are in any of these areas, feel free to reach out to me. If you have a mentor already and you have some questions, I would ask that you and your mentor would go in and read DFAR's Appendix I, make sure everybody's eligible and check all of those blocks. Go and look at the solicitation, and then any questions that you have, the two of you can call me up and we can answer anything that you have, any questions that you may have. let's talk about another success story from the Army's program. We have in Huntsville, Alabama, there's a company called Tech Masters, and their protege is Gene Capture. Gene Capture started out with 3 people. They are currently up to 21 people, and they have developed a handheld viral detector. And the reason why this is important is when soldiers are deployed and they're out in the field and they get sick, something happens to them, they have this portable handheld device where within 30 minutes they can detect pathogens that are in the soldier systems. And one of the good things that happened, it's not a good thing, but COVID hit, and they were able to utilize this device even with COVID. It detected the pathogens with COVID. They have you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. So you do want to have something that can work not only throughout DoD, but something that could be commercially attractive. There is interest commercially, and there's also interest from the veterinary community. They've asked, can this handheld device detect these viruses that are in animals? So this is a really big success story. The big thing with the Mentor-Protege program, the DoD, is the non-peri award. They did receive the non-peri award for this year, and they are doing really great things. So we're really proud of these folks. So that kind of sums up the program, the Army's program. Again, we are part of the DoD program. And I shared my contact information with you in the beginning. I'll put it in the chat again. So if you have any questions for me, please just let me know and we can go from there. One other thing that I want to talk to you about is Project Spectrum. If you are a small business and you are not CMMC certified, which is Cybersecurity Maturity Model certification, you will need that certification in order to do business with DoD. DoD has a program called Project Spectrum where this training is offered to you for free. For free. You don't have to pay for the training. So that's something that DoD is giving back to the small businesses to help them, because we understand that it can be expensive to do this. So it's projectspectrum.io, and you can log in and register, and someone will take care of you from there. Subject to anybody's questions, that's all I have.
Thank you, Gaina, and thank you everybody for your patience. Thank you for Shonda and Dan for filling in while we were working on getting our connectivity issues fixed. I'm going to be turning it over now to Vicki Hawthorne, who is our Apex Accelerator specialist in the Franklin County, and she's going to be reading out any questions that have been in chat. And please, if you have questions, put them in the chat so that Vicki can read them out and get them answered for you. Vicki?
Great. Thank you. I have to say, keeping track of that chat is a job in and of itself, especially getting answers to the questions. Either way, I am going to, even if the question has been answered in the chat, there may have been some folks who have been paying attention to the presentation. So I'm going to repeat those as well. So let me just get started here. I just copied and pasted, and I went from the top to the bottom. So let's just see what we have here. The first one that came up is, bear with me. And actually I threw this one in. how do you find a mentor? And it was answered in the chat. And Chevelle also asked it. She said, how do I find a mentor? I am truly looking. I need assistance in putting bids together. Who wants to take that? Because that's kind of a double, couple little options on that. You're talking two separate items, finding a mentor and putting bids together. Let's go with the first one. How do I find a mentor? It was asked and answered actually in the presentation. What about Shonda? Shonda, how do I find a mentor? Go with that one first.
Yes, and actually Chevelle just emailed me. Great question. Now, the SBA does not assist companies in finding mentors, but definitely working with your Apex Accelerator counselors could be a way that you could potentially identify some companies. And you could do that using the SBA's Dynamic Small Business Search, the DSBS. And on that, you do have the capability of searching if you wanted to search for a specific mentor with a certification. You could, if you're familiar with the Dynamic Small Business Search, that is one of the search criteria that you can put in specific certifications looking for. Now, let me put this in as a caveat. The DSBS is only small businesses. So those are only small businesses. Outside of that, you can look maybe by going to networking opportunities, maybe also working with within each agency. They do have what's called Office of Small Disadvantaged Business Utilizations, or OSDBUs. There's small business offices within the agency. They may be able to assist you with finding some companies that may be doing business with them. But I would definitely say working with your Apex Accelerator counselors to look, to devise strategies to look for some specific mentors.
Any other feedback? Chevelle, do you have anything to add to that?
You mean Gaina?
I mean, I'm sorry, Gaina. All these names running around.
That's
Gaina, I'm
okay.
sorry. Army.
That's okay. So we had in March, in the spring of the year, we do have our annual Mentor-Protege conference, and there are potential mentors that are there. So if you are looking, that would be a good place to find them. Also, take a look at what type of business do you have and what company is doing business with the federal government in that type of work. They don't have to be approved yet. They can get approved. So anybody that's actually doing that kind of work, and it don't have to be a Lockheed Martin or a Raytheon, but who's doing that type of work, the same work that you're in, or in the line of work that you want to go in, and talk to them. Most large businesses or medium-sized businesses, they have a small business office, they have small business liaisons. So talk to those small business liaisons in those companies to see if they would be interested in mentoring you.
Absolutely. And I can just kind of give my feedback as an Apex Accelerator. When you come to us looking for trying to match up with a mentor, we don't necessarily have a list of mentors that are looking for proteges. We'll help you do the digging, do the market research. But again, you need to think, what value are you adding? What are your core competencies? What are your differentiators? And try to make a match like that. They're not just going to connect with, you need to bring something to the table. It's got to be a mutual benefit for both parties. But again, reach into your Apex Accelerator, have that conversation, dig in and do the work. It's going to be a lot of market research. I do have, Karen, did you want to add anything? And we do have our program director for Apex Accelerator, Sharon Hopkins. Did either of you want to add anything to that?
I think you covered it very well, Vicki.
Okay, let's say moving on to the next question. Aaron asked, Are there any different or additional services for SDVOSB, that's Service Disabled Veteran-Owned Small Business? It was answered in the chat, and Sharon, since you kind of answered that, did you want to go on and provide your answer? They might not be able to find that answer in the chat. Maybe Sharon jumped off.
No,
Was that
I'm
you?
here.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I was, what was the question again?
It was in reference to, Aaron had asked in the chat, are there any different or additional services for SDVOSB, Service Disabled Veteran-Owned Small Business?
So the Apex accelerators can assist a business that would qualify as a service disabled small business apply for and hopefully receive their verification from SBA. We can also, give them pointers on other set aside groups that they might fit into as well, and look at all of that. We, okay, good. You're already certified, verified. Very good. So there often are set asides for service disabled veterans, depending on what your service or product happens to be. We can help with our bid match. We have a bid match service that can assist you looking at the government and finding out what agencies are buying your product and service. We can help you develop a marketing piece, which we call a capability statement. So there's lots of things we can do that actually we do that for all of our clients, including service disabled small businesses. But we certainly would be able to help you if you have specific questions as well along those lines.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Can I just add something to his question there?
Sure,
if you're your small business office, they're with every organization. That's your key into these program offices. And if you go to the Army Small Business website, we list our buying commands. If you click on those buying command links, there is the associate director for all of those buying commands. Get familiar with those buying commands. You figure out where you fit in. Where is it? Who in the Army is buying what you're selling or what you're trying to sell? Once you figure that out, thank you, Aaron, osbp.army.mil. There's a plethora of information on that site. Once you go in, you see all of our buying commands. You can go to their website. We also list all of our upcoming procurements that are on there. We have different trainings. Army Materiel Command, in the spring of every year, they have advanced planning briefs where they talk about upcoming procurements, and you can ask any questions that you may have at that time. So check with your small business offices as well. Once you figure out who you're targeting in the Army, find that small business office, check the small business website, the buying commands, who's buying what you're selling, contact those small business offices.
Great, thank you. We have about 8 minutes. I don't know if we're allowed to go, wait a minute, no, we have till noon, right? Is it till noon for
No.
the session today? Okay,
No,
so
but
another.
I mean, some of us can probably stay on longer, and Gaina, she can't stay on longer, but if people have questions, I know I can stay on longer and answer any questions.
Okay, because we have about 5 or 6 more questions last I looked. Jerry had asked, are there any opportunities with construction companies? And I would just like to answer that and say, reach out to your Apex accelerator and have that conversation. Anybody else want to add to that?
Sure, go to the Army website, click on Army Corps of Engineers.
Oh,
okay.
Good one. Yeah.
Those are our construction folks, the Corps of Engineers.
Great. Okay, Aaron, is our contact at Apex the same as a mentor, or is the Mentor-Protege program different? The Mentor-Protege program is different. DoD has a program and SBA has a program. Anyone want to add to that?
Yes, and a mentor and an Apex Accelerator counselor are two unique things. We advise you. We are not your mentor in these programs. Your mentor is another business, not part of the Apex Accelerator consulting program.
Great. Okay, Michael had asked, what's the link for the training? And I'm thinking it's the Project Spectrum. And it was listed in the chat. If someone could put that back in the chat so Michael can catch that.
projectspectrum.io. Also on that same website, when you go in and register, you can also register for FOCI training if you're interested in that.
And I do want to bring up for those folks about CMMC and FOCI. Just so you know, Ohio Apex Accelerator also is providing free consulting for our Ohio-based businesses on CMMC. We have a special program going right now where we will help you one-on-one with that consulting and helping you on those CMMC standards. And we are also going to be hosting the Army and talking about FOCI standards, which is foreign ownership, control, and influence, and how that can impact your business. So mark it on your calendar. If you want to save the date, that's going to be on July 19th, where we're going to be going into what that is and how it can impact you and going after Department of Defense work. So put that on your calendar. Thank you.
Okay, let's see. I see 8 more questions popped up in there. Can't get, let me go back. Mansoor's question, is there a way to have a 20-minute meeting with someone at the Army to discuss if a technology is of interest to them, i.e. human wearables topic area? Gayla?
That is definitely.
Dana, I'm sorry.
That's okay. That is definitely one of the Army gaps. And if you contact me, I will put you in contact with the right person. That's going to fall up under our Army Futures Command in Austin, Texas. And I can connect you with Arbery Lavatori there. He's our small business guy there. So send me, yes, contact me.
Great, good, good. Dan had asked, what are typical roles, job titles of the key people in mentor companies? Who wants to take that?
So
Shonda,
I'm not
Dana?
really understanding his question. What do you mean? What do you
Sure.
mean? What does the mentor do for you?
No, I'm trying to think about it from the small businesses, the protege's point of view, trying to build a relationship with a presumably much larger company, the mentor, to create a mentor-protege relationship and get the ball rolling. But who are the people? These are larger companies, they're large organizations with lots of people. Who are the kinds of people who might be interested and enabled inside the large organization to work with a protege?
I would say to get into one of the companies, talk to their small business liaison and ask their small business liaison about the mentor protege. Have they ever heard of it? Would they be interested in being a mentor to you and going through the program? So yeah, that
seems right to me
small
too.
business.
Yeah.
And once you're in the program, you usually have a program manager. Somebody from that company would be a program manager, and then they would be the ones to keep everything on track. Make sure you get through the training and that type of thing. But I would definitely reach out to the small business liaison for the companies that you're interested in.
And who are those program managers? Are they in supply chain or research, or where are
They're
they
all
from?
over.
All over.
They're all over the company. It just depends on the type of, for example, let's look at Raytheon. Raytheon has 20 divisions.
Yep.
So it just depends on where your technology or your service fit into Raytheon, that they would have a program manager from that division.
Okay.
For example, AI, there's a separate program manager that strictly works AI stuff.
All right.
So talk to the small business liaison.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, and I would just kind of add, it would, and Gayla had mentioned, it has to do with what that protege needs. So if it's something with bid opportunity, getting contracts, and maybe somebody in the business development. If it's human resources, the contact, it just depends on the subject area of interest and what is agreed upon. That's kind of how that works. So let's see. I think there's one more. Let's see here. Nicole, can a mentor protege impact how a small business does business with other teaming partners? Can it also impact contracts that are already existing? And Nicole may need to unmute, not unless you guys can understand that the context of that question. And I can repeat it if needed.
Can she unmute and give me a little bit more there?
Yeah, we're just trying to wonder if, entering into a mentor protege, if that can impact, how we are viewed like by other businesses that we team with, or, existing contracts. Like, how deep does the mentor protege go, or affect the small business?
I'm still not sure of your question, but it will not break any relationship that you have. Your mentor is there to, not only are they helping you build your infrastructure and develop your technology, but they're helping you compete for requirements. They may use you as a sub on some of their requirements, or you'll prime and use them as a sub on some of your requirements, but they'll help you with opportunities out there as well. You'll go after opportunities. That's part of capture development that they will work with you on.
Okay, but it wouldn't preclude us from teaming with other people then on other contracts?
Absolutely not.
Okay. All right.
Absolutely not.
All right. Thank you.
And I could ask, what if it's a competitor? I mean, it could be. If
Could I add?
I don't know. I don't know. I think it depends on what's in the contract, what's in the agreement.
Can I jump in on that?
Yeah.
Vicki, this is Shonda. To Gaina's point, sometimes it may not matter, but sometimes it could potentially. So if somebody, a protege was in a relationship, they had a mentor in an approved relationship, and they're going after a specific contract. And maybe they're looking to be in a prime sub relationship with another company to go after the same contract. So sometimes there may be a conflict of interest depending on what you're looking to go after. Sometimes people can be in two approved mentor-protege relationships, depending on the needs that they're looking for from that mentor. So you do have to be careful if you're looking to go after kind of the same contract in different relationships, then there could potentially be a conflict of interest there. Does that make sense, Nicole?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, yeah. I love the way you stated that.
It goes back to what Vicki and Gaina was saying is, okay, where is the need? What are you looking for? Okay, is it contract assistance with bidding? Is it general management? So just making sure that there's no conflict of interest with what you're looking for from that mentor.
Great feedback. Okay, 3 more questions, and I'm not looking at the chat anymore. Aaron, asked, are there any grant programs out there? I know I don't get involved in grants.
I'll
as a
take a little bit of a
counselor.
stab
Yeah,
at that.
jump on that one.
Yeah, I'll take a little bit of a stab. And this is Dan Gisser again with Parallax. And there are federal research grants, and in particular research grants to small businesses from the Army. Most of them are under the auspices of the Small Business Innovation Research Program, which I mentioned earlier. And those support doing research to develop products, and they may lead to a mentor-protege relationship eventually, typically later on. And just as a for example, in Gaina's success story of Tech Masters and Gene Capture, the Protégé Gene Capture, I went and looked. They had about a half dozen or 7 small business innovation research grants from the Department of Defense in the 4 or 5 years that probably preceded the creation of the Mentor-Protege project. Happy to talk more with you, probably offline, about these research grant programs.
And I'm just going to, okay, any last quick comments on that, the grant?
I wanted to bring up, plug in a couple more Army events we've got coming about those types of grant opportunities. June 26th, rather, I'm getting ahead of myself, June 26th, we are going to be hosting the Army X-Tech Challenge program, where you can receive grant funding for some challenge opportunities through that program. And on June 28th, we are hosting the Army again on their SBIR, STTR grant opportunities. So if you're interested in those, again, mark them on your calendar. We emailed out our flyer on the X-Tech program last night. It should have gone out to our clients. But if you have information, you feel free to reach out, and I'll put my email address in the chat. You can shoot me an email if you're not already in our distribution, and I'll send you the information about those 2 upcoming events.
Thank you. Thank you, Karen, for that. As an Apex Accelerator counselor, we do get involved in sharing grant opportunities. I was thinking financial as far as back office type stuff. So thanks for that clarification. 2 more questions. Tony asked, can I be a part of a 2 protege partnership?
So for the DoD program, you can have more than one mentor-protege agreement. However, it must be for 2 completely separate things. For example, if you are in the SBA's program, you can still have a DoD program, but it cannot be related at all to what you did with the SBA.
Shonda, did you have something to add to that?
No, the same thing that Gaina said. You can have more than one approved mentor-protege relationship, but it does have to be where you're seeking assistance under a different area. So if you have a mentor-protege relationship that's set up and your mentor is providing you general administrative assistance, and then you want to get into another mentor-protege relationship, then maybe in that relationship, that mentor is going to provide assistance with bidding and contracting, contract assistance. So it can't be the same thing. Yeah, it can't be the same thing.
Okay, last question. Jason asked, when you are in a mentor-protege, how many opportunities can you go after when together? Any takers on that? The last question.
There's no limit. There's no limit as to what you can go after. It's whatever you guys can reasonably stand. The Mentor-Protege program, you will have other things that you're doing. You have to realize, as a small business, you are small. You will be doing training, various training, trying to get various certifications that will be a draw on you. But then, it just depends on how well you're developed. and where you're trying to go, but there is no limit on the number of contracts that you can bid on or anything like that, not from the DoD perspective.
Okay, great.
Vicki,
Was there?
can I add a little bit to that?
Yes, please, please.
Just to kind of clarify, the mentor-protege relationship is strictly for business development. So when you go after a contract, you're not going after the contract through the mentor-protege relationship. When you go after a contract, you're either going after the contract through a prime sub relationship or through a joint venture. And the joint venture is when if a mentor and protege decides to come together and then they form a new entity, and then that joint venture is the entity that can pursue contracts. So either you're gonna pursue a contract where the mentor may be the prime and the protege is the sub, or vice versa, the protege is the prime, the mentor is the sub, or the mentor protege enters into a joint venture, and then that joint venture pursues contracts. And you can do an unlimited, back to Gaina, what she said. But I just wanted to kind of clarify that.
Great, great. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That was the last question. That's it for me. I'm going to turn it back over to Karen to close us out.
Thank you so much, Vicki. And thank you everybody for attending today. Thank you, Gaina, for offering all this great material and sticking with us while we worked out our technological issues. And thank you for Shonda and Dan for stepping in and presenting while we work those out. And thank you for my fearless leader, Sharon Hopkins, and my amazing counselor, Vicki Hawthorne in the Columbus area for being here with us today. Again, we're going to have this recording on our website when it's available, and I'll be emailing the presentations to everybody who attended today. Thank you again for being part of us, and Gaina, thank you for sticking us and offering all this great info.
Thank you. And if you need me to stay for 10 or 15 minutes for anything else, I can do that as well. I'm available to do that.
Great. Well, if anybody wants to stick on and have a little chats here with Gaina, I can keep the room open a little longer. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Karen.
Can we ask questions?
Hello, Gaina.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Tanya. This has been a wonderful presentation. So I just want to make sure that I fully understand the opportunity in this space. So we are in the tech space, and we have been asked by a company to collaborate with them as well in the energy space. And so it sounds to me like this could be an ideal tool to establish a relationship as we pursue opportunities in this space.
Absolutely.
Okay. So again, so I'm clear, because my understanding in the past was that teaming relationships were more ideal because we could keep our corporate identity along with our existing certifications. Whereas if we started a joint venture, it's new, and you have to establish yourself under that relationship. Am I correct?
Okay. So let me just say this. For the Army, for DoD, we do not deal with joint ventures. You keep your identity.
Great.
Okay. So the Army's program, that's one of the major differences in the Army's program and the SBA program. They do joint ventures. We do not.
Okay. Thank you.
Can I ask the question, who would be, and I didn't really get it understand it fully from your question, who would be the mentor and who would be the protege?
Take a look at the requirements in DFAR's Appendix I and look at the requirements to be a mentor. If they are not currently a mentor, they would just have to go to the DoD webpage. If they fit that criteria, go to the DoD webpage and submit an application. And within 2 weeks, they can be an approved mentor.
Yes, but in asking the person that asked the question, what were they thinking? Who would be the mentor or the protege? Or had they got that far? I guess that was just something that came to my mind. The person that asked the question, you said someone came to you. Were they thinking about being the mentor or the protege? I didn't think, well, maybe I'm totally off base. Let me mute myself.
Vicki, I was asking the question about but there was another person who, after my question was asked, she asked the question about who would be the mentor and protege. I think that's why you might have thought it was the same person. It was because it's two women speaking.
Okay, Tanya, in your question,
Yes.
when the person was approached to you,
Yes.
who would be the mentor and who would be the protege? Would you have been the mentor or the protege, or had you got that far?
So my thinking is that the other company, because it's a majority-owned firm, who has vast experience in energy space.
That's fine. That's
Okay.
fine. You
All
gave
right.
that. I didn't get that the first. Yeah, I get it now. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
and we have Savannah here with her hand raised.
Thank you, Karen. Appreciate it. Gaina, thank you everybody for all the great information. Gaina, this question is for you. I was looking at the Army buying commands, and I just wanted to verify if the Army materials command would be the one that I would be looking at. So we primarily work in information technology space for around project management, leadership development, training, anything around portfolio program management, business strategy, roadmap, any of those things. So would that fall under the AMC?
That would fall up under AMC, but it would also fall up under Corps of Engineers. They need program managers and those types of things, as well as Army Medical Command. So you would pretty much fit across the board because you have a generic solution. Your program managers or your staff would have to be knowledgeable in that particular area. But you would fit across the board. But yes, definitely Army Materiel Command. Army Materiel Command has most of the bases that are around throughout the Army. So yeah, Army Materiel Command is good for you.
Okay, thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions? Please raise your hand. All right. I don't see anything. Gaina, thanks for sticking around, and Shonda and Dan, everybody sticking around a little bit longer to answer any of these questions. I'm going to go ahead and end the recording in the session now.